Hello.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me? Oh, maybe now.
Yes.
Yes, I was on mute. How are you? Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you. So you're in India, are you?
Yeah, I'm stuck in India.
What are you doing? Am I traveling?
No, it's not allowed. No? I mean, right now the flights are actually not allowed. So,
Yeah, but
and we have lockdown, so it's not so harsh, but shops are closed, everything is closed. So we are now allowed, I think, from morning from 7 to 2 o'clock, the grocery shops. So,
okay. Okay. But the situation improving slightly?
yeah, here in Pune, it's actually improving. It was very bad, but the numbers are going down. But in the rural areas, it's actually really bad, I think.
Yeah, but yes, yeah.
We can also only rely on music. And you're in the Netherlands?
No, I'm in France at the moment. And I'm leaving tomorrow to Italy.
Okay.
But the situation in Europe is relatively okay. But I just heard this morning that the UK figures are going up again. So we're not finished with this. So
No, we are not finished.
yeah. Anyway, so have you had vaccination already?
Yeah, the first one, AstraZeneca. So it's. I mean, we actually would need to do field work, and we're essentially locked down for 1 year. It's just terrible situation.
Yeah.
So even more important the work you're doing with your new organization. Congratulations.
Yes. Well, anyway, in a way, it's a direct sequence of my previous work as UNSR, because you probably know wrote a report on illegal adoption and 2 reports on issues arising out of surrogacy.
Yeah.
And in all these contexts, plus also during my trips to my academic visits, and actually also my semantic report on children in migration, which I did together with the Special Rapporteur on Trafficking, we constantly, the issue of access to identity always arose and appears to be a very central issue, which governments do not really know how to address.
Yeah.
So the creation of this organization was in a way a response to what I felt that there was to some extent a gap in terms of exclusive focus on the issue of identity.
Yeah.
So this is what we are going to try. I mean, we are very young still. I mean, you're only just born. But I hope it will develop into something useful and also partnership with other institutions. So, yeah, there we are.
And may I ask where the funding comes from?
Well, I mean, we are at the very, very early stages of that, of our organization. So we are still planning our strategy. That was still at the pipeline that we have some seed money from the bank, but that's really to get started and also to do sponsor, to create the website and all that, all these things cost money. But otherwise, we don't have any resources yet. We're planning our strategy in that respect.
You're from a bank to seed funding?
Well, yeah, I mean, very small amount. It's anyway that information. Yeah, we've seen our annual report. Or probably not but we have a small amount from a Swiss bank, yes, to get started, but definitely it will not cover all our expenses if we want to go ahead with our ambitious plan. So it's as I said, we have to define our funding strategy.
Yeah, it's Switzerland was the first country essentially recognizing the trafficking, as we call it, in the past regarding Sri Lanka. So that was actually a really good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so again, we hope we will get more income somehow, and but we at least have to define our strategy, how we want to go about it. I mean, obviously, we also want to aim at your governments, the universities. I mean, I guess you're the same for your organization, no?
No, we do not have that much funding, and we are. I mean, I guess you followed our work as well, right?
Well, a little bit, not that much, but a little bit, yeah, yeah. But for instance, our staff, I mean, the staff were on all these issues to get things started. I mean, we're free of charge. They used to work with ISS.
Yeah.
They left ISS, and for the time being, pending revenue, they do this on a voluntary basis. But that's something obviously which will have to change at some point. I can't expect people to be young people. I mean, I have retired professionally, so I mean, I don't want to claim any salary, anything for myself. I do this on a voluntary basis.
Yeah.
But young people who are at the beginning of their professional career, obviously, it's important to have some income, obviously, for the work they're doing. So let's hope it will work.
Yeah, I know the staff, of course. I know we are now. So I mean, I know her since 2009. Personally, we were interacted regarding Ethiopia, things like that. So, and of course, we have kind of very different approach when it comes to children's rights. That's,
why are you saying that?
I mean, we are very clear that this intercountry adoption system is child trafficking, legalized child trafficking, and we are also aware, of course, that the Hague Adoption Convention, another Hague Adoption Convention, the central authorities have been actually paying ISS. So we kind of really, and ISS, I mean, I know also the people in the advisory council of board, whether it is David Smollett, I know very well, Linnell Long, I know very well, I know Patricia Bronick. So we have a very different approach. And I think, our founder, Rooney Post. So I base my...
I've never been in touch with her.
You've never been in touch? No, because it started actually when we were following your work, when you started working on the European adoption policy.
Hello?
So you started working on the European adoption policy.
I mean, that in particular with countries like Romania and Bulgaria at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I still can vividly remember the press conference we gave together with François de Combray. I'm kind of puzzled about it. How you have been in touch with him, who was a staunch supporter, and I have documents also where it's clearly stated that paid lawyers, things like that. So,
sorry, who's this person you're talking about? That is a long time ago. I don't remember exactly with whom I gave a press conference.
François de Combray from Sarah.
Okay.
So he was.
I must admit, it's a long time ago. It must have been in the 80s.
No. Wait. Let me sign in.
Oh, sorry. That must have been Madam Deputy Secretary General of Europe, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. 1 second. I will send you a link. Which, 1 second. Because it's actually. European. It was in 2007 or 2008, something around that.
Okay.
In adoption policy. Because there was, after Romania exploded, there was a huge push for reopening Romania, and Sarah, the organization, was very much pushing for reopening of intercountry adoptions.
I remember I had an argument with a member of the European Parliament.
Yeah.
A British member of European Parliament who was very categoric and very slow, showed very little flexibility. But otherwise, I don't have a particular recollection. Anyway, it's a long time ago. Let's move to today's, and I think I don't think, different approach you're saying, but our concern and Mia's concern and Nigel's concern and everybody's concern is to not impose on this access to identity. That's not just in the context of international adoption, of course. It also arises in other contexts, like, as I said, migration, the children who lose track, who will throw away their ideas that were need at some point to know where they come from, and to, for their legal comfort, but also for their psychological well-being. So, yeah.
My concern is essentially during I don't know whether you even understand it, because during the accession of Romania, actually, the question of the difference between the Hague Adoption Convention, which had been implemented in Romania quite well, instigation, or how you call it, with the assistance of ISS, in this Defense for Children International, Nigel Campbell, very well. So once Romania was the first country which had implemented the Hague Adoption Convention, and obviously it became a big mess. So the second the European Union got involved, this whole conflict started, and that man, Mr. de Cambrai, was very much involved in trying to push for keeping the adoptions in Romania open. So you probably, from your work at the Council of Europe, you might also know Mr. Cristian Tabacaro, and you know Mr. Tabacaro? Okay. Yeah, but there was huge, and I'm surprised that you don't know the workings of this, because there was huge pushing, of course, to keep the adoptions going in Romania, while the European Union actually clearly said, please implement the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child and implement the subsidiarity principle correctly. And then the European Commission set up an independent panel of family law experts which advise the Romania on how to interpret and how the UN Convention on the Right of the Child and the difference to the Hague, and actually how to write the laws. So this independent panel actually very clearly held, and that's our position, of course, that intercountry adoption is not a child protection measure, because obviously the adoption order is at the end a civil law order, and once a child is adopted, it's out of state care essentially. And that Article 21b of the UN Convention on the Right of the Child essentially has to be interpreted on the macro level. So that means intercountry adoption is essentially dead since that time. So then Nigel Campbell, who is now on your advisory council or board, actually wrote the UNICEF position in 2004 to counter that in a way, because, of course, according to ISF, UNICEF, adoption is a child protection. And what then came was, Claire Gibault, Jean-Marie Cavada, pushing in 2007, 2008 for the European adoption policy, which we actually managed to stop. So, and then, long forward, in 2016, the Council for what it's called, RSJ, Council for Criminal Law and Youth Welfare Justice, sets stop intercountry adoption. Are you still there? Yeah. Yeah. So advise Dutch government to stop intercountry adoption. And then, of course, I think you've met she works at DCI. Her name is Jala de Witte. I think you met her also, or you've been in touch with her. She worked at DCI in the Netherlands, because you I think Nigel Campbell actually drafted part of your report as a special rapporteur. Is that correct?
You know, I write my own reports, and I draw on various sources. I mean,
yeah, I mean, it was one of the sources, but the Nigel Campbell actually wrote a report for Terra des Hommes and Defense of Children International, which was then used in 2016 essentially to lobby that the Dutch government continues inter-country adoption. And now we have the Joustra Committee, which actually came to the conclusion that inter-country adoption should stop. And of course, I've read the previous ISS newsletter, and I've, of course, also spoken to Nigel Campbell some weeks ago. But I'm very concerned about 2.6, that first of all, that the people around ISS and around the child rights NGOs want to keep inter-country adoption not. And as I said, I'm sitting here in India and see what this policy under the Hague actually does also now in a phase like a COVID crisis to the child adoption system when it's built completely around adoption. So it's a total mess. So that's my one concern. And my other concern is when we talk about identity, that access to files for the past adoptions isn't enough when the files are fabricated or when you don't get access to the files. In India, for example, it's very difficult to get access to the files. So there needs to be funding for organizations like ours, who actually since almost 20 years try to assist adoptees in searching. And the next concern is when you speak about India, when you want Dutch adoptees to have access to their files in India, and the Indian mothers were unmarried mothers, and they go on Facebook and expose that, you have a big problem. So I'm an adoptee who actually fought 17 years to find my mother. I'm very, very careful of victimizing those mothers who have been victims of child trafficking or adoptions, which were in the widest sense against the fundamental human right, to expose them again. So that's my concern. So I have this two concern. That I spoke also to another organization yesterday, and I don't understand actually why no organization is ready to back up the Joustra report, which clearly said.
And just a moment. The Joustra report, I've read it and I've seen the recommendations. This is going to be discussed in Parliament.
Yeah.
I don't know at all what will be the outcome. It's likely to be adopted. The recommendations are likely to be supported by Parliament. I don't think there will be great opposition because people see the pitfalls of inter-country adoptions where things can go wrong, especially if they're private interventions which sort of impact the outcome. So I think that will happen. And then one of the proposals is to set up a national expertise center, which would really provide practical assistance. And then I'm just quoting what I put in the report, right?
Yeah.
The expertise center will have to look into these matters, considering obviously all the interest of other parties, not just the children, and to what extent it is in the best interest of the child to have access, and also considering the position of the mothers or the parents who at the time, under very difficult circumstances, gave up their child and may not want any contact, may not want to be stigmatized. All that will have to be considered. I have the impression you assume the worst possible scenarios.
No. I got an email yesterday from the Ministry of Justice, so I know pretty much what they're looking into. They're looking into Afterminnsgegevens and access to dossiers, but they are not, and we have been, of course, fighting together with other adoptee groups, that the work not only we do, but also other IT groups do, will be funded from the ministry. So what the ministry is actually right now doing, they're hiring again a consultancy and trying to bring everybody to take also those people who just have ideas, never been done doing any field work. They just run Facebook groups. So all these people were brought again at the table, so that obviously we had this 2 years ago again for this 1.2 billion. So I know what will be the outcome, and there is no indication also in the letter from 12th May to the Tweede Kammer. There is no indication that there will be any funding for organizations who actually assist adoptees in the country of origin to trace back their family. So I'm not just assuming. So this is one of my concerns because, of course, I'm an adoptee and I run such an organization. But my other question is, how do you see personally the inter-country adoption system? How should it be designed, according to you?
I have no answer to that. I definitely think what we should take away is the commercialization of the whole process, and that's an element which that can only be negative. So that's, I think, something we have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, that is what Nigel also said.
The role of intermediaries in this process and all that. So that's something. And then, of course, in every single country of the world, whether they've ratified the Hague or not, the whole issue of corruption is also something to watch very carefully. But those are very general remarks. But I'm not now going to say this has to look like this exactly. This will be a negotiating process, and we have as a starting point the Hague. I know you don't like it, the Hague, but if properly applied and if pay attention to the possible intermediary financial benefits from this process.
So you agree, for example, with children from Hungary who actually, or Bulgaria, were actually in foster care, that they're being adopted to the Netherlands. Let's assume there are no fees and that it's all government, it's a public system. So you agree with this, the children from Hungary?
Listen, you denied in the beginning that it is a child protection measure. For me, it is a child protection measure from the outset. And then, of course, when everything is registered and organized and legalized, then okay, there's no longer child protection. It's a legal issue. But still, it's important to know to assess the qualifications of the receiving parents, of adoptive parents, whether they're fit to become the parents. So all this depends. It's the concept of the best interest of the child, which should apply freely out. So I'm not going to say I'm not in favor or I'm in favor. It depends on the circumstances of each case.
And how is adoption a child protection measure? Maybe you can actually enlighten me.
Oh, come on. Look, you're fishing for the truth. You know very well that in some cases, children are treated by social services in public care.
Yes.
Instead of leaving them in institutional care, if it's possible to find adoptive parents who are as a family setting and are fit to be adoptees, to adopting parents, and whether there's a proper match, of course it is better.
And so also foster care. I'm a proponent for residential care, also specifically regarding India, because that is the thing which is currently neglected, because everybody says that children can be adopted. And nobody does anything much to improve residential care, build family type homes. So that's a situation here. But when children are in foster care, I think they're actually in the child protection system and they're cared for. So why would you change their identity?
Not as such as change their identity. Even in foster care, they want to know who are their original parents.
Yeah, but when you have an adoption, you change. Actually, usually the child gets a new birth certificate, so that's a change of identity.
Yeah,
it's not just about.
But the children who are placed in foster care. you don't necessarily know where they come from. They can be picked up from the street. I don't know. I mean,
but of course they have a right. Everybody has it. It's not denied. But my question is concrete, because we are dealing now with a case where the child was in a European member state, a country of European member state, and in foster care, and was adopted to the Netherlands and was actually probably killed by the adopted parents. So, is it, of course, we all agree that should not happen, but is it really that Article 21b of the UN Convention on the Right of the Child has to be interpreted in such a manner that foster care in an EU member state is not considered suitable manner of care?
I think foster care is something which we have to look into, and I think it's an interesting topic. There will be major conferences upon topic. I mean, I don't want to say here now on it, but let's have a discussion with you. This is should be, and why it should be not like that, and why the opposite should be true. I mean, what kind of discussion is this? I mean, the discussion we can have is that there are advantages and disadvantages, and that at some point it has to be put on balance, and that the best interest of the child should determine the course of action. But I'm not rejecting foster care as a principle. It had gone very wrong in the past. I mean, we will look at that as an organization. CHIP will probably get an opportunity to do that for a particular country. We'll see where things go wrong and what has to be changed. I mean, at this point in time, I don't think you could say you can pinpoint to any particular attitude of either CHIP or myself in relation to public care, adoption, or whatsoever. I mean, you have read my report. You have apparently traced my past. I don't even remember the names you mentioned. I mean, I've been dealing with other things in my life than only adoption and so on, and countries like Romania and Bulgaria. I mean, let's have an open mind in discussion. I mean, you seem to be very predetermined and not really interesting in trying to find common ground. I mean, if this is your starting point, what's the point discussing?
So what is the common ground? Should it work together on identity or ethics? That is the common ground. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Because I think I mean, I appreciate that it is important to take on board the work of the people who are on the ground and who see the difficulties and who are investing their time and energy in assisting these people, whether children or parents. I mean, that's extremely important, and we should always consider both sides of the coin. Absolutely.
So my stance actually is not really constructive, according to you. I mean, basically, that's what Nigel told me already. So
for myself, I'm speaking for myself, and I think if you're sufficiently intelligent to analyze your own attitude. So, and if you seem to be, sort of starting already with the hostility, prejudice, what my position would be. So, come on, that's not the kind of dialogue I want to engage in.
No. I mean, there's a very clear, predetermined mission, and that's stopping that country adoption because we consider legalizing child trafficking. So that's very clear.
Okay. I mean, we'll see. I mean, this is the Dutch report. There have been others. There will be others. I don't think that will be a universal position. But it's, I mean, fair enough. But let's work on the identity. I mean, our organization is not like against or for inter-country adoption.
Well, that I figured out. Yes, I figured. So that up to the
position. And we will, on all basis, I think we can consider working together, but only with an open mind. Because if you're predetermining already, you're telling me what I think, then I forget about it.
I'm asking and trying to find out, because of course I'm synchronized since I've been following your work, and we are very clear, and I'm following them. SWOT work and.
Have you ever submitted your comments in that report when there was an open invitation? No, issues. I don't think I've ever seen anything from.
Oh, I did not.
I mean,
we needed
criticizing them, which you even that they had the opportunity to contribute to them all. Okay.
No. If you say it, okay, I don't know what to say because we have been fighting to stop intercountry adoption, and according to you, I should have an open mind. So I'm considering having an open mind, and let's say,
But in relation to the identity issue, which is the only focus of our organization, and that can be in different contexts, as I explained, and intercountry adoption is one of them, but it's not the only one. So your approach would also be relevant in that context, remember?
yeah, but even in that context, you asked about funding, for example. So you don't have funding.
You didn't ask, come on, I didn't ask you asked me about funding.
Yeah. Then sorry. Then you ask me how we do that, and we are completely funded by actually NMTs, which of course is a violation of their rights to their identity. That should not be. So when that is an issue, which of course concerned me personally, that I had to finance my own court cases against the state in India, and I've done it for other NFTs as well. So I want to know where and how, because we're doing this work since 20 years, where and how you see this now specifically for a country like India, how this should be, because
I have never visited India. You're
welcome here.
I know. I wasn't always a special rapporteur.
But that's the only issue what the government does.
No, but I don't been why I've been there. But because I wanted to go to India. But yes, there was some rules written on the overcome. And definitely when we will be working on this aspect, I mean, if there's a request for an opinion on the situation in India, we'll obviously consider what you can say on the basis of your practical experience on the ground, clearly. But what you experience in India is not necessarily the same on what your experience in Spain or in whatever in Latin America.
So I know the difference between the countries. But I know it's not alone exactly. I mean, they're.
So let me put it. What was the point of wanting to speak to me today? What do you want?
I wanted to know you because I've been following your work. I wanted to know your stance, also your personal stance, because of course, as I said, the other people involved in your organization, I know very well. I mean, not personally, but partially also personally. And I know very clear that exactly with your colleagues, that Lunel Long, for example, is an adoptee who calls me almost a thief on the internet because I have to charge actually adoptees the cost for their searches, and I have to follow the laws in India. So that is actually something. I've known David Swan very long, since 2003 or 4 or something, because I was also partially involved in finding back the mother of his adopted children. Involved also in getting the mother of his adopted children protesting in front of during the conference of the Central Adoption Resource Authority in India. So I know her. I've been in touch, of course, with Nigel. Off and on, we have been debating his position on intercountry adoption, where we, of course, very much differ. That it has to remain an option. So I say, my position is very clear that children have to be cared for in the country, and that's it. They should not be adopted out. And we have also, as an organization, of course, brought down, for example, this orphanage Klikmandian here. We have brought down other orphanages who were trafficking children. We have been litigating. We have been dealing. You may remember the case of Rambul, where that was actually why I'm working in the Netherlands, that this child, which was kidnapped in Chennai and actually was adopted in the Netherlands, and 2018 or 2019, I'm getting them mixed up. But this orphanage was actually convicted. The child is, of course, now adult and has no interest in finding his identity. So the mother is still without. So the children were kidnapped. That's how I actually started, because that's where the media picked it up. And this whole scandal was covered up. And the Dutch government does nothing to assist those other 50 adoptees who have now questions. Was I also kidnapped? Was my paperwork also? That's how I started in the Netherlands. And this hasn't been addressed. It hasn't been addressed. Like also the scandal regarding Ethiopia. So we have done an actual research in the field on taking the files of children into the field and actually researching them. And I think the work we have done in the field, nobody really has done.
I think definitely an interesting angle, and I mean, I can assure you that I would be interested in having much more feedback from the practical perspective, and while you're saying today that you don't want it international adoption at all, I definitely I don't.
No, but maybe conflicts or different opinions are important for each one to develop the common sense. So maybe the best thing is, if you're ready to do it. I mean, the policy issue, obviously, our founder, Ruli Post, who has been fired as a civil servant, as you know, for the position, she has been defending. So maybe the best is to speak to Ruli Post about the position regarding children's rights. I come from the field. I'm a victim myself. So I don't have that much of a background. So maybe you speak to our founders.
There are lots of people I need to speak to, and also a lot of knowledge I have to look into. I mean, at some point I will want that, but she is not at this point a priority for me. I don't have to get in touch only with your organization. Nothing that
I just that we have the strongest stand for authorities.
I think you have made some points clear this afternoon, so that's only positive. I've taken note of what you said, and from this point onward, as we develop and as we feel the need that we have to look further into certain questions, we may want to consult you. I don't know. It's really, there's no particular project at the board where I would say, well, this is where we need your input, or I mean, we'll see as we go along. I mean, listen, we've always just started. We are participating today in a seminar. We will be holding a seminar on the 1st of July.
Yeah.
And on identity in alternative care. You can log into
Sorry.
Oh,
I'm not concerned.
Okay, so that you can say what you have to say. See where you disagree. But I mean, I don't think our exchange can go beyond what we have already said today, because I mean, you be very firm on your position. I don't want to take any firm stand. I mean, unless it is in a particular context. I've said at the beginning, it has to be decided on a basis of the best interest of the child, and we'll see where we go from here. But again, it's only focusing on identity rights. I mean, whether you accept inter-country adoption or not. I mean, it's the report of Joustra is only to some extent relevant to us.
Sorry, the report of Joustra. I didn't hear you. Your voice was breaking.
The report of Joustra, of the Commission of Joustra, is only to some extent important to us, because we're not addressing the issue as such. I mean, actually, the issue of identity, I don't think it is at all apparent in that report. Not at all. So, let's see now.
Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hope that we get our rights to identity very clear. On my right to identity has been violated. I'm a victim of this, and my identity has been changed personally. And I've been fighting for the last 20 years to actually change it we've changed it for 52 other adoptees. And I think that...
Your current identity is what? What is your current identity? You're the identity of your adopted parents?
talk about legal identity, you want to really know.
No, I'm asking you. You don't have to say it.
I say, and I have nothing to hide. This is the identity of my adoptive parent. My German passport. I'm a German citizen. This is my overseas Indian citizenship, because it's actually really nice. So we get that like any other overseas Indian citizen. So this is my other card, because I actually had to move to India and I have to get registered, which is not so easy because that's a legal identity in India. So that's a unified ID system in India, which as an overseas Indian citizen, you actually don't really get. So that, or you may get, or not, or nobody is really sure. So that's a gray area. But okay, I got now a registered address because I need it also for other stuff. That's a PAN card. Let's see, tax ID is non-taxable in India. So to be very clear, that's my identity. And what's written on that? On that is written Arun Dole. So what? I mean, I can show you. But that is Arun Dole. So that's also my passport. So that's my identity. My first name was given by my adoptive parents, which actually Arun is a nice name. So I don't want to really complain about it, about the name as such. And Dole is actually the German name, surname, which you get a new birth certificate. So I'm born to two white people, according to my birth certificate. Very, very funny. And the other part is that I have a mother in India. She also gave me a name. I'm not going to say, I'm going to say Svanand is my name, which my mother gave me, who was an unmarried. So you know the stories about unmarried mothers. Nobody wanted to give their child. They were all forced this way or the other. So that, and still today, that's happening in India. So, yeah. So I, of course, had also the surname essentially of my mother, because obviously the father didn't accept. So this is a story of identity. And the moment I actually went to the orphanage didn't want to give me the name and address of the mother, obviously for whatever reasons. And I actually went to court, gave up my job actually in 2001, and I went to court and fought at the end it took 2 years to go to court, and at the end it took 7 years to actually get access through court proceedings to my file. And then it took another 3 months to trace my mother, who actually was praying every day so that I come back. But, for social reasons, she couldn't actually search. So that's in short my identity.
You were the family you met.
Yeah, she had the funny.
Well, that's the relationship with your adoptive parents in Germany.
The relationship was very good. I'm a very happy adoptee. So they actually also very much financed my search, at least the expense, so the work I had to do myself. But the problem is, of course, that my adoption was illegal. So there are some other, you can Google my name and you'll find out my whole story. I speak about it actually, but it's all public. So it's not a thing. So my adoptive parents, and also when it comes to identity, my adoptive parents actually went to the German Youth Welfare Office and told the German Youth Welfare Office, I'm a foundling. Okay? So when you are a foundling, then you don't need the consent of the mother, because I was only adopted according to German law, so you don't need the consent of the mother. So in the German file, there is no original identity, like for many adoptees. And because my adoptive parents lied. And at the end of the day, we fought about that. And I said, you're responsible for this. And you have to make good on that. That they cut off contact because of the guilt. Because, 10 years of my life or more have been wasted on just trying to get the name and my mother. And that is a real issue when we talk about identity. But now, when you're asked about identity, I can tell you, I think you come here, I give you Indian food for 4 weeks. I'm telling you, you would love to have Dutch food. So when we talk about identity, it's not just the legal papers. It's about the culture. I'm living here in a very Indian environment. When I was traveling to India the first times, I wouldn't be able to stay here because it's so Indian. I'm like, well, okay, because I'm German. I don't look German. I feel German. I think German. I eat German. I speak German. And that's not an easy thing when you're here.
Yeah.
Because India is there. So you're when you ask me from my identity, it is this: I'm a German Indian, but I don't know anything about India, though I'm living here since 4 years, because I can never know what it means to have been raised in India. When you ask me about my own story, so what? I know so many people who grew up in residential care. They had a hard time, but they got actually their education done there. Today, chartered accountants and whatever. So India is not a country where just because you're in residential care and state care, you will never make it in life. It's like, of course, some make it, some don't make it.
Okay, well, thanks for telling me this. Again, I think we should pursue contact, but on a relaxed, cool basis, considering that we have both this objective to ensure access to identity, considering, as you pointed out in the beginning, that for some people this may be more difficult than others, not welcome. I mean, even in Ireland, this issue is playing also at the moment.
Yes, like on identity, my point is, my point is when we talk, just let me make my point. My point is that we talk for the past and also for now, because we have investigated these current China and things, Ethiopia, Bulgaria. So when we stop intercountry adoptions, when we speak about an open mind, let's have both an open mind. When we stop intercountry adoptions and say this was whatever, sale of children, child trafficking, whatever you call it, on a larger level, then there has to come an apology, which the Dutch government actually did. And with that, the governments have actually to make money and funding available and actually assistance from the authorities so that adoptees can get access to their files and can actually, search and get assistance with searching, because access to the files in India doesn't help you much because you don't know how to search. You don't know the culture, you don't know the language. I'm not joking. When adoptees get access in India, and really, I've been fighting for this. So if an adoptee from the Netherlands, and we have these cases, gets access to her file, puts it out on Facebook, the mother's life is going to be finished off. Yeah. So in India, that is really something there needs to be assistance. The first mistake most people who are from so-called third world countries, I said, thank you for giving to their mother, thank you for giving me up for adoption. Oh, you're living in poor conditions. Okay, I open my pocket and buy you something. The moment they do that, that's the first mistake adoptees do when they're getting reunited with their families. Then the rest of the family or the other people in the village just say, but now you can really ask money. She's living or he's living in the rich West. So these are the first mistakes which have been done. So adoptees actually need psychosocial assistance, and they need practical assistance in tracing back their families. And that I've been doing. And actually, I'm not so much recognized for that by your colleagues, be it David Snowden, be it Nigel, maybe he does now, and by Lynn Long, because my work is being talked back. So when you say we start somewhere, some hostility, I'm still an announcement in her group that I'm mentally ill. Okay, that's your colleague.
No, that's
that's the truth. And I can give her the post where she says that I'm actually blackmailing adoptees, I'm ripping adoptees off. And I can tell you that solving 52 cases in India is very difficult. It is not something you do like this. We spend 200 to 400 hours on a case. Okay? So obviously there's no funding. So we have to put this in the beginning. My adoptive parents were funding the work partially. I was unemployed, things like that. So I've never been rich, but I'm being portrayed as if I make a lot of money out. And that also partially from your colleagues. So that has to be resolved. When we speak about an open mind, then there has to be mutually an open mind. Also to the knowledge which I have, which actually David Smaller doesn't have. Okay, he was not in India. He is not in Ethiopia. He is in touch with some people who are in the field, but he is not speaking to me anymore because, of course, we clashed on the question whether the system has to go on or whether the system has to stop.
Okay. I will listen to you very carefully, and I think you made some very important points, which are important for whatever follow up there will be to the Dutch report, but like there will be others. I agree. I mean, this you can't just leave it just say here you're entitled to access and go and sort it out. That's, I mean, there are all the risks associated with that, the stigmatization of the parents who originally had rebelled in their children or whatever. But all this has to be considered. I agree with that. Anyway, I have to go. I have another meeting.
Thank you very much.
And I'm sure we'll be in touch again. Huh?
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.